G'day, Mick here from Zgrills Australia. Now, a common question I get is, can we do a high temperature sear on the Z-Grill? Often people talk about wood pellet smoke at grills not being able to get a high enough temperature. Now, that is actually true if you have your baffle plate in, your grease tray, your grill rack on top. You're only going to get to about 230 degrees C or thereabouts, which you can do a sear on, but you're not going to get that really thick crust on there like you will with a higher temperature over coals or over gas. But it is possible to get those temperatures because obviously we've got a big fire. We've got a big heat source there. So it's a matter of taking away some of those barriers, the baffle plate and the grease tray, and using a cast iron plate like this one, or if you've got grill grates, you can use those to really get that temperature across into the meat. Let's have a look at how we do that. So here I've got one of our Zgrills cast iron barbecue plates, which has got the flat side and obviously the corrugated side. I personally prefer the flat side because you get a much bigger surface area in contact with the meat. And so what you can do, you can take out your baffle and your grease tray and your grill rack, which I've done, and then you can place this directly over your fire pot. So you've got a direct fire underneath here. That allows you to get much higher temperatures. In terms of safety, the key thing we have to realise is that we've got an exposed flame there. So using a cast iron plate like this, it's good because you're not going to get fat dripping down into the fire pot, which could cause a grease fire. Another key thing is definitely don't leave the lid open. This is a Zgrills 700E here, and this barbecue plate is designed to fit perfectly across the front and back there. Of course, if you have a different size Z-Grill, you can easily leave your grill rack in and just sit this in the same position up above the fire pot. Before you start cooking like this, make sure you've vacuumed out your fire pit and everything is nice and clean. So let's do a test here. Let's do one bit of steak on the cast iron barbecue plate here, and the other piece we'll do directly on the grill rack, but again, over that fire source. All right, we got flames. Let's drop this lid down. Okay, so all we're going to do here, 2 pieces of porterhouse steak, equal size, equal thickness. We can do one directly on the cast iron barbecue plate and one on the grill racks, both directly above the fire pot. Okay, nice simple rub here. Garlic, salt and pepper, nothing fancy, just to give a little bit of flavour. Okay, our steaks are prepared, just waiting for the temperature to come up on the Z-Grill. So we're just going to put a little bit of olive oil on both sides of these, which I find helps, particularly on the cast iron plate. Boom, boom, like that, not too much. Cool. Flip it. Alright, we pull that off. Alright, I'm going to let that rest. We're going to take out the barbecue plate and put in our grill racks and do the same thing. Okay, same thing, 1.5 minutes each side. This one's directly off the grill rack, this one's off the barbecue plate, both 1.5 minutes each side and then a minute each side to get up to the doneness level that I like. Let's have a look at this one first. Wobbly table, there we go. So obviously if you want it less well done, you could just cook it for 1.5 minutes each side, but that's, for me, that's perfect. While this one is resting, let's have a look at turning the grill off safely. So in the grill now we have a massive fire in here, so let's turn it down to smoke for about 10-15 minutes until that fire dies right down. The temperature drops below, say, about 150 degrees C, and then we can turn it to shutdown cycle and it can shut down safely without getting any burn back or other issues, which potentially could happen if you went directly from that huge high fire directly to shutdown cycle. We've allowed this meat here to rest as well, so let's do the same thing. Have a slice through. So in terms of our doneness, pretty much the same. Let's look at these side by side. So in terms of the crust, almost identical. Obviously you got a couple of lines on the bottom of this one, and I'm not very fussy about lines. In terms of the actual crust, if we have a look side by side, pretty much the same. I do love my cracked pepper. So I think that pretty much answers the question, can you do a hot and fast sear on the Z-Grill? And the answer is definitely yes. 2 options there, directly on the grill rack versus the barbecue plate. I would definitely go with the barbecue plate because it's a lot cleaner. You're not getting any grease dripping down into the fire pot, which is potentially dangerous from a grease fire perspective, and also extremely dirty. It's going to get really nasty down there. Using the barbecue plate keeps everything nice and clean, and the results almost identical in terms of the results. Now, of course, I could have flipped that barbecue plate over. It got some lines, but I don't care about lines. I care about a nice, even bark, and that was beautiful. So, there you go.